Hi guys. So this week is one of my favorite weeks of the year. It's Dayton Startup Week. And I've woken up early, I've come downtown, I'm actually in kind of like the industrial district where my office is. And I thought I would take some time just to touch on something that I've noticed over the last, over the last year, but in my consultations over the last couple weeks. What I've noticed is a lot of people coming to me strictly for insight into how they can get their ads to perform better, specifically on Facebook and Instagram. And a lot of the time, the advice that they're really looking for is it's mechanical. They want a strategy that can be repeated by them easily. And there's a big problem with that mindset. The problem being that the ones and zeros of it, while important, are kind of just a small piece of the puzzle. A much bigger factor in whether or not your ads perform well is the creative. It's the story you're trying to tell or the message you're trying to convey. So when people come to me and they're like, hey, Ray, what sort of techniques can we use to make our ads run better? I'm like, well, it's not really rocket science. You make some creative, you build a hypothesis about who has a high probability of wanting to engage with that. You push it out to them. You test as many variants as you possibly can. You see which one performs best. There you go. Done. First of all, your creative should be authentic because you're going to naturally create better media around things that feel real to you, around causes that matter to you, around just stuff you're interested in general. So naturally, make something that feels real to you. Beyond that, you may have to stick with whatever brand voicing you put out there into the world. So if you've manufactured some brand voicing because you think it's what people want to hear from you, you may find it very difficult to continue to deliver for the long term because you faked your voice at the very beginning. Number two, your equipment doesn't matter. I'm shooting this on a camera that I bought for $150, including the microphone. It ended up being $200, and an audio recorder that I bought for $50. And am I going to say this is a piece of cinematic excellence? Absolutely not. But it's giving me the platform to be able to communicate my ideas without having the barrier of having to save up for a $30,000 camera and a huge audio rig. Start with what you have. If you have a cell phone, great. Create, do a vlog, do Facebook Live, do Instagram Live. Any camera that you have is going to be good enough. Take still photos with your camera and just write really great captions. People sweat quality so much in the abstract, but when it comes down to the reality, your audience, they're looking at your content on a cell phone. So does it really matter whether or not you shot it in 4K? Probably not. So just start with what you have and keep in mind, maybe there are limitations that you have to keep in mind when you're using tools that maybe aren't perfect. The way that I have to shoot video with my $150 camera is probably different than the way that I would shoot it with a $30,000 Red. But that doesn't mean that I can't create something that's dignified. So don't sweat the quality too much because most people aren't really going to they're not going to call you on it bro, this doesn't look like it was shot in 4K. The average person just doesn't care. I think we sweat it a lot more than they tend to. And sometimes we use that as an excuse for why we're not creating because, we just don't have the equipment yet, when that's BS. There are plenty of awesome viral videos that got millions and millions and millions of views that were shot on a shaky cell phone. So there's no excuse for not creating something and putting it out into the world. The third thing is try your weird ideas. When you stick too closely to things that you've already seen, you automatically lose the benefit of surprising people because they're like, okay, yeah, I've already seen something kind of like this before. It doesn't stand out. It's not new. It's not exciting. People like things that are novel and, sometimes strange and a little bit weird. You've got like the Squatty Potty video with the shitting unicorn. Like, that's novel, it's interesting, it's exciting, and it's share worthy. And one of the best ways to maximize your reach and your audience and to make your ad spend much more efficient is to create content that is shareable. That's free promotion. So thinking about the things that you can do with your media to make it shareable is important. And one thing that you can do is to be novel. Try the weird stuff. Try the things that nobody's seen before. I mean, kind of referring back to number 2, like if you can make, if the risks are very low, like you can buy a $150 camera and make a funny video, like there's no reason to not try it. I could understand like 20 years ago if like the cheapest decent camera you could buy would be like, $10,000, why you would be reserved and maybe a little bit risk off. But now the risk is so low that you might as well try the weird stuff. And the beauty is that, we're all operating sort of within these social media algorithms, right? Well, the mechanism itself is designed to filter out like what content gets shown and what content doesn't. And the input that it's using to make that decision is whether or not people like it. So if you create something and people don't like it and people don't engage with it, pretty much nobody's going to see it. So just put your weird shit out there. The worst case scenario is you maybe wasted an evening and you maybe looked silly in front of 10 people. But the potential upside is so great because if that thing you made catches, it can make a very real difference. So that's 3 things. I'm going to get in my car, go get some coffee because I haven't had any yet because it was too early. And I'm going to go to Dayton Startup Week. They've got free food down there. Last year I had some awesome pork tacos. So I'm going to go do that.